interference in Venezuela's affairs is a breach of international law. President Maduro said that the reports were part of an ongoing information war, reports that there has been a plane there ready to take him away, and that those who had orchestrated the coup would be arrested. However, Juan Guaido is still free and has appeared again today in Caracas calling for a general strike.
What we have sacrificed won't have been in vain, and it won't be in vain. It's been for our families and our future, and to achieve our goal, which is to unite the country. We've seen how we're still shaking things up and reclaiming our space, and how we're still out in the streets. Yesterday they thought they'd stamped out the protests. They won't do it. We will stay in the streets until we get freedom for all of Venezuela.
Okay, so Ana Rosa Quintana leads the Heritage Foundation's U.S. policy efforts towards Latin America. She joins us now. Ana Rosa, thanks very much for joining us. This is playing out on two levels. It's playing out on the streets of Venezuela, and it's playing out in geopolitics, specifically between Washington and America. Where does this head now, do you think?
Well, it depends on what happens today. I think it's a positive sign that Maduro has let Guaido continue the demonstrations, and it obviously demonstrates that Maduro recognizes that should any harm come to him, that this will definitely escalate the situation, not just between the United States. I think there's this mistaken perception that this is just a United States-led effort. There are 54 countries that recognize Juan Guaido, and the majority of Latin America does as well.
What's your understanding of what happened in the past 24 hours in Venezuela? These reports from Mike Pompeo that there was a plane ready to take Maduro to Cuba, but the Russians intervened and dissuaded him from doing it. I mean, it sounds like a sort of Cold War thriller. What is your understanding of what is actually happening in terms of the geopolitics of this?
I mean, it sounds like a Cold War thriller because you have a Cold War government in charge in Venezuela. I mean, Maduro is, unfortunately, he's an ideologue. He's a communist ideologue in that respect, and he's allowed the Russians to play an outsized role inside of Venezuela's affairs. And so I think that there is, I'm not so sure, I'm not privy to classified information, but I could envision a scenario in which Maduro has recognized that his days are numbered and that he wanted to flee the country, and the Russians have told him, hey, we helped Assad ride out the crisis inside of Syria, we can help you as well.
Anna, what he's revealing about the statements that we had from Mike Pompeo and John Bolton yesterday is that there is some conversations ongoing between those close to Maduro and the opposition / the Americans, and the revelation of that is going to create some suspicion and division within Maduro's camp, isn't it?
I think it should. I think Maduro should recognize that he is not surrounded by loyalists and supporters. I mean, the regime of Nicolas Maduro, it's a government of criminals and thugs. And I think that's something that should be very apparent to the international community at this point. They are incredibly corrupt. They're deeply involved in drug trafficking. They do not care about human rights violations, nor the welfare of the Venezuelan people. And I think one point that you raised that I think we should clarify, the opposition is not the United States. And I think it would be unfair to trivialize and to correlate the Venezuelan opposition as a U.S.-led effort. The opposition is an independent organism that organically has come to be. And I mean, these guys are out there risking their lives. Americans are not risking their lives in these efforts. It's the Venezuelan opposition who's doing so.
Okay, Anna, thank you very much.